Welcome. Hold on, first one. Okay. Welcome to Spiritual X-Men Experiences. Your boy X, Wakanda Forever. Uh, man, so I was just sitting, chilling. Y'all know, in my ride. it's like my little personal space. Like I don't know. I don't know. It always has been. Um, but I was just sitting back and just soul searching and contemplating at the same time. And the question that just came to my spirit was, after some reflection today over a lot, just analyzing a lot of things that have transpired that, just completely out of my control. And, I know I'm not alone in this. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Spiritual X-Men Experiences. It's your boy X, Wakanda Forever. Just sitting back, chilling, and going through some deep contemplation of just a lot to sum it all up. And the question that just registered in my soul was, why do good people go through so much? And through that contemplation, it was, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But what did come up in my spirit was, although I don't know, maybe it's because, you know, um, it says God won't put more on you than what you can bear. But Lord, oh Lord, does it get heavy? Lord, let me tell you, it gets heavy. Reminds me of the song "Heavy" by Jussie Smollet on Empire. If you haven't heard that song, definitely check it out. I'll put that below. But with that being said, but it's still like, but man, it gets heavy, and it sure in the hell ain't fun. At times, no, I can't even say at times. It sure in the hell ain't fun. You know, but what was just coming to me, I mean, I honestly don't know why good people go through so much. You know, with good people, we try to do our very best. By all means, we're not perfect. We're not flawless. You know, we make mistakes. We do the wrong things. Even if our intentions were good and, how we felt they were, in our highest good, it turned out, that it wasn't, or just didn't go the way we perceived it to go or how we planned it to go. And a lot of times we struggle and try to come up with, well, you know, but it just doesn't make logical sense. Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, emotionally. It doesn't make any sense mentally. It doesn't make any sense spiritually, materially, just all aspects. Like it just don't make sense, you know. And sometimes it's just not going to make sense, and that's a hard pill to swallow. That's a hard truth and realization to come to, that sometimes stuff is just not going to make sense for whatever reason. We ask, we try to be like, you know what, I don't understand this now. I pray that, you ask source, spirit, God, then, I understand later on, or when the time comes, or when it's right for me to understand, even if it's years from now, but some stuff, we're never going to be able to fully comprehend. Only the universe, only source, only spirit, only Allah, only God is going to know and be able to really make sense of things. And a lot of times we try to make sense of things, like, okay, well, just try to grasp that understanding, so which is, out of, especially in Western society, it has to make sense. If it don't, if it don't make change, it don't make sense. That was definitely, a saying I grew up hearing. And if stuff doesn't make sense, then, what good is it? And a lot of times, by us trying to make sense of things, trying to form a logical or emotional or spiritual understanding of events that's transpired, or experiences or situations, by doing that, we end up, because I mean it's been conditioned within us, especially in Western culture, to find that logic behind it, to find that understanding, that truth. Because not only it by doing so, and by having an understanding, by having, something that's explanatory behind it, it puts us at a sense of ease. I mean, you got to think about it. When something does make sense out of something that we didn't understand at first, it does give us a sense of ease, a sense of relaxation, like, that moment, that, okay, I get it. But what if it's something that we just can't get, something we just can't understand? Even if somebody else can make sense of it, but it doesn't mean it's going to make sense to you. It doesn't mean it's going to make sense to me. It doesn't mean it's going to make sense to the next person, to the next generation, to the generation before us. But by trying to make sense out of things that is either not the right time for it, or for some odd reason there just isn't a 3D or 4D aspect that we can grasp for our understanding as spiritual beings on earth at this present day and time, we end up creating mental, emotional, and spiritual illusions, traps, um, misconceptions, falsehoods, assumptions of whatever's going on, which then in turns put us in a perpetual cycle of keep continuously going through that, and essentially we end up tormenting ourselves in the long run because we keep trying to make sense of something that just either isn't the time for, or is just something that being a human being and a soul in a human body as a being on the earth that we're just not going to understand. We're just not going to be able to grasp it. We we do that a lot. We do that a lot. You know, with good people, we're not perfect. We definitely do things that we look back or have experienced that we look back and go, man, you know what? I could have did this differently. You know what? I could have handled that in a completely different way. You know what? I didn't have to react to that in that manner. You know, I could have did this different. Could have done that this different. And those are the shoulda, woulda, couldas that we can, and in a healthy way, should I won't say dwell, but think about it, and truly be able to put ourselves in that place and analyze as to why we did this, why we did that, why we didn't do this, why we didn't do that. Because later on, we look back like, man, you know what? I'm here now, but I wasn't there then. I could have did this, or I could have did that, or even if we had that understanding and that balance then, but for whatever reason, things played out the way they did play out. Like in Once Upon a Time, for example, Snow White, she had a choice to make when it came to uh I can't think of dude's name, the dark one. Um, she had a choice to make, and she had to go and get Cora's heart, and it was a candle where she could save his life, which turned out to be her grandson's uh, other grandparent, in replace of taking another's life. Now she chose not to do that with her mother, which was something she didn't regret, but she regretted. And she realized, well, maybe maybe I do need to change, and I can't be good all the time, or maybe being able to embrace a little bit of my shadow aspect, or maybe it was because I didn't lack the strength to be able to do it, but she had the purest intentions to save her family. And so she ended up, doing what she did, using, the magic to enchant Cora's heart and giving it to Regina, and Regina putting it into her mother's body. Now, mind you, Regina was completely unaware that the magic was spoken over her heart, because Snow White manipulated the situation in order, to be able to protect her family, because it was at that moment, out of the fear that she had of her family dying and being ripped apart, and you know giving into fear, giving into things that she didn't know that necessarily could happen, but based off of past events and past experience, in her reality was a high chance of them happening, but it was still given into fear, and Regina ended up doing what she did. Now, for Snow White, Charming told her, like, you're not that type of person. Like, you're not going to be able to live with yourself if you went through with it. Now, this was before, and she decided to go ahead and do it. Now, for whatever reason, right now she's where I'm at in the story. She can't find any logical explanation, behind it. For her, she's tormented. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, you know. And when all she could have did was, not say the spell and give Regina her mother's heart, and her mother would have had a heart, because that was primarily why Cora behaved the way that she behaved, because in order for her to gain her power, she had to rip out her own heart, because she knew with having her heart and having her emotions that she wasn't going to be able to do the things that she had to do in order to gain the power that she had gained. When Regina put her heart back in, all her emotions came forth. And, with her emotions coming forth, Regina almost got her mother back. But then, she ended up dying because the whole spell that was cast, which led to other events. Like, that could have been the end of the story. Everybody could have lived happily ever after, without the spell work being done. Regina would have gained her mother back. They would have been able to reason with her. Everybody would have been emotionally healing and eventually could have moved on into happily ever after. But the way events played out, being the viewer, we had to understand, like, oh, well, yeah, that sucked, but if that didn't happen, we wouldn't know that Regina kidnapped this boy, so to speak. Well, I'm still, like, getting into it, but that's where it's leading to. And getting comfortable in India style. Uh, the next the next experiences that's going to transpire, we wouldn't have been able to get there without that happening. And of course Snow White, she's hurting right now. She's completely oblivious as to what's going on, and so is everybody else at the moment that hasn't came out yet. And with Henry, what he reminds me of is the inner child in everyone that we tend to lose as we grow, because he's always like, but no, you guys are the good guys. Like, what's going on? Like, no, we always do right. We always do right. And, as a child, we always want to do what's right. We always want to be in our light. Well, what the adults know that he doesn't know is that, life just sometimes doesn't play out that way. We respond, we react in a completely different manner because we do have those experiences. And sometimes, stuff happens, stuff transpires, and it's hard to be good and in the light constantly and all the time. It is. Not gonna sit up here and sugarcoat it and be like, oh yeah, no, it's hard. It is. It can be very difficult. Especially when you see, others, and you're like, well, they not even doing what's right, or other people, or other, people, because it's not necessarily the people, it's the energies that they allow to embody within themselves, that, and it's like, well, that person do this, did that, and that, and this, and this, and yeah, it's hard not to judge people, but sometimes we look out, and it's not necessarily judging, but it's like, well, dang, they're doing all, but they're able to do whatever and not allow that to really affect them, and they can honestly care less. But I'm over here hurting and going through this and going through that because I care and have a heart, and I'm trying to do good and live. Yeah, my alarm keeps going off, and I'm not turning. I keep forgetting to completely cut it off. But when I decided to get up and record this video, it was 5:55. So, and so we gonna go ahead and put this message out. When it's, because we say good people and bad people, when I still believe there essentially bad people in the world. I truly believe that wholeheartedly because it's not necessarily the people, it's the fact that they've had so many experiences or things that happened that yes, they can't physically rip out their heart, but it's been either completely guarded or completely hardened. Because the difference between dark and light is the fact that light, when good people do something and it wasn't of our highest good, or it was something we go back and go like, man, I really shouldn't have done that. It does affect us emotionally, but we still get through it. We still get past that. We still push forward. We still, you know, take what's coming and like, you know what? It's raining right now, but the sun is going to come out eventually. Things are going to get better. It's not always going to be here. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. You know what? Hey, I apologize. That wasn't cool. That was messed up. I wasn't where I am now. I didn't have the balance. I didn't have the knowledge, whatever the case may be. And it's not making excuses, but it's really coming to a realization within oneself that, man, you know what? I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have responded that way. I should have responded differently. I should have, took more time. I should have been, a little bit more balanced. But through that experience, we were able to grow and mature into knowing that, whether mentally, physically, emotionally, and or spiritually. Without that transpiring, we wouldn't have gotten to the point that we were to be able to look back and realize that wasn't of my highest light. That wasn't necessarily good. Although my intentions and, the outcome that I hoped or wished or wanted to happen was good, you know, the maneuverability behind it was not all that great, not all that flowy. Had to swim a little bit upstream a little bit. But I mean, why good things? Why good people go through so much hell and high water? I'm not sure. Maybe it's to show those who, and like I said, I won't say bad people, but the people who choose to make the wrong decisions, the bad decisions because of the heartache and the pain that they have experienced or the goals they wish to achieve, and knowing that the method that and the maneuverability that they have to go through, that they couldn't go through with it with their heart being open, that hey, look, I done went through the same similar things with my heart open and still made it. Because essentially their heart hardened or was closed off or so guarded out of fear of feeling that pain again. To not feel that pain again is to close off your heart. How else do we, feel emotions without our heart being open, even the slightest of bit? A lot of them, because just from hearing stories of people who I do know that has guards up, like really really high walls, and their heart chakra isn't as open, as mine. A lot of my friends I used to hang around used to be like, well, I wouldn't do that. Like, you're a fool to keep, giving your heart, and it gets stomped on, or this happens or that happens, or you did this, and now I wouldn't have cared if they were over there and feeling the way they feel. I would have did it anyway, and I was just over here, feeling perfectly fine. Well, I just can't do that because, yeah, get into a verbal argument or a fight, and you know, I'm feeling bad, but that shows my character and it shows the fact that I do have a heart, the fact that I do feel bad about the situation, that I do, you know, even though, maybe I was trying to, protect myself, out of self defense, out of whatever the case may have been, regardless of what the scenario was. And although that protection, but the protection came at some sort of cost, whether it was towards another person or a cost to ourselves, because it wasn't in a healthy way, it wasn't in a balanced way, it wasn't in something necessarily of the light, which, overcoming our shadow side is a daily, daily practice. You know, by getting to a point where we're never going to have to battle our shadow side, that's perfection. We're never going to be there, but it will get easier being able to manage and cycle through them. And circling ourselves with those of like minds, or on a energetic level, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, and having them empower and encourage and help persevere, and push through, and call you out when you need to. It helps with that growth process. It helps with that constant transformation, that constant evolution, that constant growth, that constant maturing and gaining wisdom and learning and getting through those experiences and tough times. Even if you have to do it alone, it's still giving yourself that nourishment, filling your own cup in that manner, in that way. Because the only difference between what we call bad people and good people is the fact that a good person can do something just as wrong, but it's going to impact us in a completely different way than if a bad person was to do the same thing. Their heart is closed or hardened or guarded, or they have walls with a security fence and two rabid chihuahuas, because I don't necessarily like saying, pit bulls, because they already, poor little animals, already have a bad reputation. And they're very sweet and kind and loving. Two rabid chihuahuas standing there, just ready to go ham, to go in.